Okay, we are recording, guys. So the good news is that you will get a replay. So if you were able to get my emails with the sign up link, or I'm so sorry, with the Zoom link, you will get the replay link. But I encourage you guys to stick around because there's going to be a really, really, really awesome special offer at the end. And it's always good to be tuning in live because then you're kind of like holding yourself accountable. Karen from Pittsburgh. What's up, Karen? Amazing. Okay, cool, guys. So I'm going to get us started here. I know that there will be so many others. Okay, here's someone else that just popped in. So many others that are going to pop in and out. If you leave, you can always come back in. Don't worry about that. You should all be muted with your video off so you can cook. You can brush your teeth. You can do other things while you're listening in or viewing in to this Zoom. I'm going to share my screen momentarily. But first, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in live. It is such a pleasure to see your names. This is, I don't know, maybe the 6th or 7th time that I've led this training. I started last year when I really wanted to spread word of what has helped me to succeed as a vintage seller and as a reseller. And for this training, which is my first training since February, it's completely upgraded. It's brand new. There's old information. So if you've tuned in before, this might be something that you've heard before, but there's also brand new information. And I really speak from the depths of my heart. I love helping people to sell more vintage. I just think that it's my life's calling. I love connecting people. I wish that there were more ways for me to do it, to be honest with you. And that's why I have built what I've built in order to do that. And I've begun to notice that things are growing because I've stayed committed to my vision. So if you have a vision of being a reseller or selling more vintage, trust it, and you are in the right place. So I'm going to start to share my screen. And if you haven't said hello in the chat, please do not be shy. And what I'm going to do here is just move some things on my screen. I don't think you guys can see the things that I do on my screen, but let me know if there's anything blocking. And I'm about to present my amazing slides because we have so much to talk about. And because I am on Zoom, there might be some slow moments here. So please bear with me. Okay, do you guys clearly see? If someone can let me know in the chat. Do you clearly see the slide? Welcome to Sell More Vintage Clothing webinar, August 15th, 2023. Let me know because, okay, great. You don't see anything blocking it. I think I only see stuff blocking it, but I just want to make sure you guys don't see stuff blocking it. So let me know if you can't see. We are dealing with technology. So, there's always going to be something that goes wrong. It's inevitable. But okay, guys, welcome. August 15th, 2023. I can't believe it. I can't believe that it's already August 15th. But welcome to the Sell More Vintage Clothing webinar. And this is the webinar for vintage sellers to sell more and make more money so they have more time to do what they love most. ... Sourcing. Okay, I believe in this so much. Those of us who are vintage sellers already, we know that we're doing this because we love the thrill of the hunt. We like to go to estate sales, to thrift stores, inside people's closets, trash digging, into hoarders' homes. I don't know how you guys source, but if you're already a reseller or you want to be a reseller, you have a method to your madness that you love. And this is why we do the business. Yes, it's about money. Yes, it's about keeping things out of landfills. Yes, it's about being sustainable and connecting with people. But really, let's be real here. It's about the sourcing. Let me know in the comments if you agree with that. Okay, so my goal with this webinar is that everyone will learn something valuable for their business and or personal lives by listening into this webinar. So let's begin, shall we? Okay, I like to kick off these trainings with some background. I know that's a little selfish. I'm talking about myself, but it just really sets the stage as to why I am doing what I'm doing. And I just realized that I didn't even introduce myself. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sammy Davis. I go by Sammy, and I am a vintage reseller and a vintage lover. And I started my quote unquote career in vintage resale in 2009. So I'm setting the stage, guys. The year is 2009, which is almost vintage. Let's be real. So in 2009, I was 23 years old and I was fighting for a dream. So what happened when I was 23 is that I had spent about a year and a half in corporate America. Let me know if you feel like it in the comments if you currently have a corporate America job. And I thought that's what I wanted. Like most millennials, being 37, that's what I am. That's what we were taught to go after. And I just remember sitting on my desk and being like, there's got to be another way. I can't do this anymore. This is like soul breaking. And I'm a very sensitive person. I am a Pisces astrologically. And I remember crying at my desk, like, this can't be my future. And I read this book called Crush It. And it was by Gary Vaynerchuk, who today is a very influential, motivational public speaker. He actually owns an advertising agency. And this book was about how you could crush in on your passion and how you could use the internet to do that and create communities and create content and just basically trust that we were living in the best era of the planet. And that was the internet era to help us to monetize our passions. Now, at that point of time, my passion was vintage. I had started going to the flea markets in New York City, and I was meeting different vendors, and I was going to all of the stores, and I was wearing all of my vintage to corporate America, and people were probably side-eyeing me, but I didn't care because I loved it. And I wanted to figure out how to make my passion for secondhand into something that could actually support me. Okay. So more than a decade ago, and this photo is so funny because it makes it seem like it's from like the 1950s. It's actually just 2009, but that's me. I used to dye my hair brunette. It was silly, but I used to dye my hair brunette. This is me selling at different markets in New York City. I held down my corporate job, and on the weekends, I was selling vintage. I had a lot of it. A lot of it came from my personal collection. Some of it came from thrifting in Pennsylvania, where I grew up, in New Jersey. And I was just like, I'm going to do whatever it takes because I don't know what the next best thing is. All I know is to sell at flea markets. Now, remind you, this was 2009. There weren't a lot of options. But the truth is, and I would love to hear from you guys in the comments if you've ever sold at a flea market or some kind of market. I don't think the term flea really applies anymore because a lot of these markets are like artisanal markets and they're curated and they're like very special. But let me know if you've set up at some sort of in-person selling destination. It can be really challenging. It is like a roller coaster. It depends on the weather. It depends on how well that market or venue is promoting you. It depends on the styles and the style interests and personalities of the people who come through. You can't really predict. You can kind of predict depending on where you are, but even then, you just don't know until you know, and it changes all the time. A lot of times people are going to haggle with you and they want things for next to nothing. And it can just be really frustrating to set up and break down, and it's physically taxing. You have to pay to play. I know back then, I think it was like $75 a day. Today, I think it's probably like $150 a day to sell at these markets. And it was just really, really, really challenging. And I started to get really frustrated. So I changed my game plan. And I'm sure a lot of you who have been resellers have either gone to one of these events or hosted one. I actually started hosting sort of like network marketing at home vintage shopping parties at my friend's New York City apartments. And that went really well. I will say, I remember making like $1,200, $1,500. Now, of course, this was this was a day's work. But this was over 10 years ago. So as we all know, inflation, that was a lot more money than it is now. But it was still difficult. I still had to set up. I had to drive my 99 Toyota Camry all around Manhattan. A lot of times these buildings didn't have elevators. Now I'm talking New York City. New York City is a lot more taxing, but it was just a very physically grueling and time consuming process. And I still was sort of working against the knowledge of really knowing who was going to show up. Like I had some ideas, but of course I didn't know people's sizes. I didn't know what they liked. I didn't know what price point was going to work. I was still really experimenting and still really kind of coming against a wall of like, how can I make this a sustainable income? Okay. On top of that, I love this screenshot. This is from 2008. I was paying parking tickets because I had my car. So actually, this reminds me, I might have started reselling in 2008 and not 2009, which means that I've been reselling for 14 years. That's insane. But when you have a car and you're driving all around wherever, you're going to have a risk of parking tickets, as well as just like incidentals, right? When we are selling in person, our tents can break. There could be a rainstorm and then all of our inventory is soaking wet and we have to clean it. Like this $153 could represent so many things that happen because of selling in person. So long story short, I'm just trying to set the stage that back then, right, I was fighting for a dream. Like many of you might be fighting to make extra income, fighting to get out of corporate America, fighting to make this a full-time income. And to be quite honest with you, I was getting frustrated, discouraged, and broke. I was doing a lot of freelance work on the side as well. I eventually quit corporate America to do this full time. My parents were not happy, but I kept going. Okay. Enter 2010. So those of us that remember what the internet was like in 2010, there wasn't a lot happening. But what I did is I was like, okay, so in person is really hard. I think I need to focus on this World Wide Web, which of course I wasn't referencing it to that, but it still felt like there wasn't a lot of opportunity online back then, but I was going to figure it out. And I actually launched a website. And I remember how much it cost me, guys. It cost me $500 to build something called sammydvintage.com, where I was actually listing my items. So I was taking photos, I was listing my items. I was using that website to, reach out to people that had been my customers. I built a newsletter. I built a blog, and I was like, okay, if you build it, they will come, right? So this was right at the beginning of Etsy. I wasn't on Etsy yet. There might have been like one other platform that was starting to emerge, but really if you wanted to sell, it was all about eBay. But here's the problem with building your own website. And some of you might have explored it, or you might have your own website. You really have to do all the promotion. Unless you become a search engine optimization nerd, which I actually eventually did. And let me tell you, it was quite the process. That phrase, if you build it, they will come, that's not true. Like you have to figure out marketing. You have to be spending almost as much time with the marketing as you are with the listing and the photography and the selling. So I basically concluded, at least back in 2010, that it wasn't any easier to make regular income, and by regular I mean sustainable, like reliant income, than selling in person. So I was just kind of driving myself crazy, doing everything I could to sell vintage and not really knowing the reliable, consistent way. Okay. Now I want to fast forward things, and this is where my edits to this training begin. If any of you here have tuned in the past, is that, and I just want to make sure that I don't think there's anyone that's popped in that I'm missing, but I'm just going to make sure really quickly here, guys. Because I just realized I might not be able to see people. No, I don't think so. Okay. Hopefully I'll see if there's any other people who join the Zoom. Okay. So I just want to fast forward. Those of you that have thought about building a website have probably looked into Shopify. Shopify has become like the go-to place for vintage sellers to build a website that has e-commerce built into it. Now, here's the thing. Back in 2010, I spent $500. So I would go on to spend more money for that website. But today it's a minimum of $40 a month. Now you can get this free trial, blah, blah, blah. But for $40 a month, you still have to build the website. You have to understand technology. You have to probably buy a domain. You have to hook it up to hosting, unless Shopify offers that. I'm not sure. And then let's say you grow to be really, really, really big, which is a possibility. That's $400 a month. So it's expensive to have your own website. It's time consuming, right? First of all, and then it's expensive. 40 per month. I didn't do the math. I guess that's like what, $360 a year. Am I doing that math? No, $480 a year. A year. A year just to have a website to sell secondhand clothes and vintage. That's a lot. And if you're not using it, then you are just wasting money. Now, in 2023, we have so many more resale platforms to choose from. And these are resale platforms that, you don't have to build the platform. It's there for you. There's a lot behind the scenes that helps you to run your business effortlessly. I know many of us are on Poshmark, most likely eBay. I would assume some of us have tried Etsy. I used to use ThredUp back in the day. I've used Rebag, which is a really great website for selling luxury bags. Depop, it's a little bit younger. Mercari, let's see, Tradesy, Vinted, Grailed. Grailed is a little bit more for, say, like streetwear and high-end menswear. So there is something out there for everyone, and I'm going to use Etsy as a case example. Okay. Oh, also, if you're aware of any platforms that I missed, please share in the chat, because I would love to know if you're selling somewhere that I didn't list there. But let's talk about Etsy. Okay. So let's go back in time. Etsy at one point, and I'm talking about vintage tonight. So I love Lux for Less, but vintage is very specific to tonight's trading. So back in 2009, 2010, probably until like 2018, Etsy was like the spot to sell vintage. If you wanted to reach your target audience and sell goods at premium prices, you wanted to be on Etsy. And Etsy was really good when it first started. But what happens, and I'm not blaming Etsy, I'm not blaming any platform, because this is inevitable, is that it became very saturated. I talk to a lot of vintage sellers because of what I do, and many of them have stopped posting on Etsy. It's saturated not only with other vintage sellers, but with handmade, as well as, to be quite honest with you, it seems like straight from the factory goods, which really is no longer representative of what Etsy used to be, which was like secondhand goods. So they've really buried vintage sellers on the website, and the buyers that normally would have found you as a vintage seller, they're kind of being led in another direction. So sales aren't that great. At one time it was great, but today, if you get on Etsy, it's not going to be what it used to be. And now, of course, all of these platforms have really high commissions. And I'm going to say rightfully so, because they put your items for sale in front of an audience. But the question is, do they? So I want to show you guys something. So I just started listing on eBay again. I used to list on eBay a lot. And I have these shoes. They're by a brand called The Row. The Row is probably one of the most sought after brands. It's very, 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 very expensive. And the last 30 days, I've had 22 views. 22 views on eBay. And I was just like, wait a second. I thought eBay was supposed to be the number one platform for everything, right? And I did promote this. And I want to talk about promoted listings. I'm probably going to touch on it again in this presentation, so I might be like a broken record. But many platforms now, Etsy, eBay, I'm trying to think of some others. I don't think Poshmark does it, but many platforms now have a pay-to-play model where if you pay them a little bit extra to promote, then these views are going to go up and your chances of converting a viewer into a buyer go up as well. Now, what happens? That takes away from your bottom line. And it's also feeding a machine that really just wants you to pay an advertising fee. They don't, of course, you're going to sell some things without paying to play, but most likely there's going to be that pressure where you're like, all right, I'm just going to have to promote everything in order to sell on these platforms. The other thing, and I'm just bringing up eBay as an example, but a lot of platforms do this, is that, you're sort of incentivized to basically maintain a high level of selling status in order for your items to be seen as well. So since I haven't been selling that much on eBay, I don't have this like premium seller status. And that is most likely why my views aren't so high. So it comes down to like fighting tooth and nail to list, sell, just to get my status to be above standard, which is, again, of course I get it, but it's also frustrating because I'm like, I just want to sell my Rose shoes for $300 and call it a day. Can you just help me, eBay? So anyway, back to just this whole getting into resale from 2009 to even just a few years ago, to even what I'm experiencing right now, guys, where I'm like, hey, I'm trying to use eBay and I'm over it. I'm already over it. Like, why am I trying to use this platform? So I'm going to bring the chat back. I'm not quite sure where it is, but I'm going to try to bring the chat back. Do you relate to any of these frustrations? I would love to know in the chat. Love to know. And then I will be able to actually see what you guys are saying. I am sharing my screen, or I stopped sharing my screen. I'm going to open the chat and just see if anyone relates to these frustrations. And good, I don't think I missed anyone. I was worried I was going to miss someone who wanted to enter. So yeah, if you guys have like a specific story or anything that you want to chat or that you would like to share, I'd love to see it. That way we can make this a little bit more interactive. But I will share my screen again. All right, so, and here's the chat. Boom. Now I can see you guys. Karen Brooks, you were spot on. Karen, I know you personally, and I'm pretty sure that you're on eBay as well, right? I know you're on Poshmark. Okay, well, we have so much more to talk about. Okay, so basically, guys, I'm about to share with you the other way I found. And I know some of you tuning in tonight are familiar with this other way, but I'm really excited to share with you even some bigger and better things about this shortcut, this secret sauce, this solution to reaching my ideal customer base and selling consistently without stress, competition, or ridiculous advertising fees. Okay, guys. So I have never shared this before. Actually, I think I shared it on a flyer. But this secret sauce so far in terms of documentation, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, has created $16,456 in sales. Okay. And this is since March. That is what, about $3,500 per month in sales. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to share more about this later. But this presentation, I'm about to show you guys some real numbers because I really want you to understand that this secret sauce does work when it is used consistently. And it's going to give you opportunities that will continue to grow your resale business and allow you to sell more vintage. Now, I know that we're already like, 25 minutes into the presentation. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you stay until the very end, you're going to look like this. I'm going to make you a very special offer to help you get started with selling more vintage. So this is just my PSA to stay until the very end. All right. So here's what we're about to learn tonight. This is the nitty-gritty of tonight's training. We're going to learn the secret sauce to attracting consistent sales and selling more inventory at a time. So not just one item here, one item there, but dozens of pieces of inventory at a time. Secret number 2, we're going to talk about how to go to the right selling party and where to find them. And secret number 3, we're going to show you how to form client relationships that matter with something I like to call, I didn't invent this, but the know, like, trust philosophy. And we will dive more into what that means in this presentation. So first, let's be like Tom Cruise here. I forget his character's name in this movie, but show me the money. Because for those of you that want resale to be something that actually supports you, we need to make money, period. So what is the secret sauce to attracting consistent sales? What is that secret sauce where you begin to hear metaphorically the cha-ching of a cash register from your phone each and every day? Enter social selling. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I went to a professional event last week and I met someone who works for Meta. We're going to be talking about Facebook tonight. Meta is the parent company of Facebook. And I was sharing with her what I've built on Facebook, which we'll also talk about. And she was telling me how in the industry, instead of calling it social selling, they call it conversational commerce. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. They used alliteration too. Conversational commerce. But whatever you want to call it, social selling is where people show up in social media settings and they, and this is basically for me to create some humor here, but they quote unquote fight for what you're selling. Okay. They want what you're selling. They have eyeballs on what you're selling. They're together in a community, in a space, checking out, observing, and having conversation around what you're selling. Social selling, AKA conversational commerce, allows you to attract your ideal customer in a social media space. And we're going to talk about those spaces momentarily. I want you guys to imagine being in a social media space and not competing on a marketplace where everything under the sun is being sold. So these social media spaces are very niche, okay? This is Mercari. If you guys go to Mercari right now, you're gonna see Nintendo's for sale, which is really cool. I actually had this one back in the day. You're gonna see electronics. You're gonna see sports cards. You're gonna see coins. You're going to see vintage clothing. You're going to see vintage housewares. Everything under the sun you are competing with. But in a social selling space, it's going to be a niche. Now imagine selling multiple vintage, that's our niche, garments in a relatively short period of time versus a few garments here or there. When I sell in a social media space and I'm done selling, the amount of items I sell is insane. It's usually at least 20. Most sellers are used to selling one here, one there, maybe two, as opposed to dozens of pieces in a week or, at least a dozen in a day. Now imagine, back to eBay, imagine not having to work up to a prorated seller status just to be seen on a platform's listings. Talk about equality. And imagine understanding a market, like actually knowing the market and knowing what to source for them, because you get to know your customer. You get to know the demographic. You get to know by seeing what is selling, you get to know, oh, okay, this and this and this is selling. I have that in storage. Let me bring it out and sell it in this social selling space. And last, imagine customers actually telling you what they want you to source for them. And then you go and buy it for them. Oh, sorry, not last. Imagine building personal relationships with customers with customers who confidently buy from you again and again and again and again. And imagine never feeling pressured to pay for promotion or sharing listings. We all know that Poshmark is one of those platforms that if you're really serious about, you have to share your listings. And then also imagine the freedom of spending less time creating listings and lifestyle photos. For those of us that have been on these platforms, we know that some of the platforms, there's a different style of photography, there's a different style of listing, and it just becomes really overwhelming. It's like, can I just throw up a photo, and call it a day, because I don't have time for that. Okay. So here's how you can experience all of that imagination into reality. And this is what I do. This is how I support myself. And we are also going to go over that momentarily. But you basically have to find a social selling space you like. I love Facebook, but there are Instagram communities and apps. And we're also going to go over a few of those so you can go check them out for yourself. You're going to want to enter this community of people, figure out what they are looking to buy by forming relationships and asking questions. Here's where I like to remind people, you can't really be a fly in the wall in a social selling space. You got to participate. Thankfully, you're behind a computer screen. You don't have to brush your hair. Hey, I don't think I brushed my teeth today until 1 p.m. So that's totally fine too. Step 3, you want to source or pull from your inventory and list quickly in these spaces. That's going to help you to really understand what's selling, what people want, as well as form relationships, connect with customers, and then rinse and repeat. And this rinse and repeat refers back to what I was telling you guys earlier, which is if you use social selling spaces consistently, you get results and you grow. So these are the 3 main ways to participate in a social selling space. One could argue that there might be some spaces on TikTok. There might be some spaces on Discord or Twitch. I'm not aware of them. Some of you tuning in may never have heard of Discord and Twitch. And that's because they tend to swing a little bit younger. These are platforms that are going to be a little bit older for people with disposable income as opposed to being under 18. So you can look up buy sell groups on Facebook. It's very easy. You just go into the group section of your Facebook account and you can search vintage fashion. You can search for a niche. Let's say you're actually selling vintage housewares or vintage Pyrex. Type in vintage Pyrex. There's probably a vintage Pyrex buy sell group that you can join. There are mobile apps. Jamble is excellent, and Whatnot. I think most of us have heard of Whatnot at this point. These are both very excellent social selling live sale apps. And then there's actually some burgeoning communities on Instagram. This is one example. I wish I had edited this because there's another community that I just learned about. This one is actually, his name is Christos, and he has a whole brand called Coveted by Christos. And sellers come here and they sell Luxe for less. And it's very, very, very successful. And it's using Instagram Live. So I want you guys to think about Facebook. And this is because I think Facebook is probably the easiest place to get started as a social seller. So I'm going to show you guys a few of my favorite Facebook groups. This one is called Quirky Groovy Vintage. It actually has, I think, 30,000 members at this point. It is free to post. They don't host live sales. I don't think so. But it's a really wonderful, positive group. Also, as an example of a niche buy sell group, and I gave you guys another example. It just depends on what you're trying to sell. But Gunny Sacks was a brand by Jessica McClintock that was very popular and remains popular. It's very cottage core. And this is a group where you can buy, sell, and trade Gunny Sacks, as well as get information. Love this group, Effed but Fabulous Vintage Clothing. This is for vintage clothing that has holes, stains, tears, is beyond repair, but you still want to give it a chance at a second life. And I love this as a niche group. It's much needed. It's very fabulous. And to my knowledge, it's the only group that is about effed but fabulous vintage clothing, AKA vintage clothing that needs repair, but is for sale. So if you guys type in any of these groups into Facebook, you will find them. And if you didn't get a chance to write these down, and I have 2 people in the waiting room, hold on guys. If you didn't get a chance to write these down, don't worry, I'll send the replay to you so you can check it out later. So we just talked about social selling and social spaces and conversational commerce. I'm going to continue on with this conversation, and I'm about to explain to you why using social selling is just like going to the right selling party. I don't know if anyone here has like gone to a party or a gathering and you're like, this is awkward AF. I don't feel comfortable here, or I don't know, this just isn't me. It's hard. You kind of have to just become like a chameleon, right? Now, when you're at the right selling party, you can just be yourself. And that's what we want you to experience as a reseller. So let's go back to selling at a market, a vintage show, or a pop-up event. It all sounds great. I mean, again, a lot of people get started selling at markets. They continue to sell at markets, and there can be good days and there can be bad days. What I have learned is that selling in person at markets, in-person events, pop-ups, it's all great until the feeds, the tagging of the items, the setup, right? So if you're outside, like you need a tent, that sun is going to come beating down on you. Just selling in person, that's exhausting. You're out there for 8 hours, like trying to get people to buy stuff. You're relying on the marketing of the host. If you don't have an audience yourself to invite, you're relying on the weather. Oh my God. I mean, I was just at a flea market this weekend in Baltimore. Thankfully, people came out. I think Baltimoreans are used to the hot weather, but it was so hot. And then, relying on the energies of the universe and the US economy and everything else. And then breaking down your booth and your exhaustion. It's really hard to sell at a market in person in general. For me, it's not the right selling party. Here is a text that I actually just got from one of my friends who sells at a really prestigious market in New York City. And on Sunday, she said, not one thing sold, which is crazy. So I blocked out the name of her associate just for privacy, but her associate said it was so slow and thinks it's because of the Dominican Day Parade, which was on Sunday. So again, some things you just don't know. There's a big, amazing event. There's a big, amazing parade. There's a holiday. I don't know, but it's so up and down there. I never know how each day will be. Is that not the most frustrating thing to read, where you're like, oh my gosh, she didn't sell anything? And I know that she has really good days of the market, but then there's these really bad days, and there's a lot of effort for the bad days. So what I've been sharing with people since 2020, so for the last 3 years, I've been teaching and training people how to create the vintage expo, the vintage market, the vintage pop-up, whatever you want to call it, from the comfort of their own home. No setting up, no tagging, no breakdown, no crazy events that are keeping people from attending, no bad weather. So this is how you guys are going to do that. You're going to host a live sale. So if you've been tuning in so far, you probably kind of guessed that we were going to begin to talk about live sales. But I want to talk you guys through what live selling, if you're not already doing it, what live selling could do for you. Okay, so I have some great screenshots here of people live selling, showing their garments online. A lot of us used to call it like QVC for vintage. QVC is this great at-home shopping network, but it's so much more than that. Live selling is basically getting someone's attention for 60 to about 90 minutes to show them who you are as a seller, what you're passionate about, what your inventory is, so that they can buy from you on the live sale, but they can also get to know you. They can learn to know, like, and trust you. Because once they understand your personality after watching you for 60 minutes, they're going to be more likely to come back. They're going to not just come back to your live sale, but they're going to connect with you wherever that live sale is happening. Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it on an app? Is it somewhere else? Like I said, is it on YouTube? Is it on TikTok? But they're going to connect with you, and they're going to become a client that's also a social media friend. Okay. So here are some screenshots from Facebook. And I just love these screenshots because there's people talking to each other, people complimenting each other, excited, get the party started, let's go. Could be a coat too, participating in a live sale. And they're participating because they have gotten to know you and they've become members of that social selling space. It's become kind of like a family for them. And this basically this sort of glue of creating a community around your live sale is what will continue to help people to show up to your live sale and want to buy from you, or at the very least, know that you're a seller and buy from you at some point in the future, whether it's on a live sale from another platform, or they slide into your DMs, or you slide into their DMs, or you email them, however you want to cultivate and nurture that relationship. So I love these screenshots because you're just seeing sold, 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 sold. It's like my favorite word, sold, sold, sold. So, we're going to talk about Facebook a lot, but Facebook is not the only place that you can host a live sale. I mentioned Whatnot. I mentioned Jamble. There's Poshmark Live. There's something called Shop Shops. And then there's something now, it's called District, formerly ISO. I'm going to talk to you guys about that briefly soon. And I know that there's other leaders in live selling that have emerged or are emerging. So while live selling has been around arguably since 2019, 2020, it is continuing to grow. And if you're not taking time to find the social selling space for you with a live sale, you are missing out on opportunities to sell more vintage, period. Okay, sorry guys, I already said this. We're here to learn together. So if there's another live selling app or platform that I've missed, please let me know in the comments and I will take a look at that toward the end of the presentation. So I want you guys to hear a little bit more about the platform that's been working for me. It was formerly called ISO literally until today. So when I was planning this webinar, I'm laughing. I was like, okay, I know that they're going to change their name because I had heard that they were going to change their name. Well, they changed it today. So if you guys were familiar with ISO, and I know some of you were, it's now called District. And I'm going to talk to you guys why it's called District. I love it because a district is a community. A district is a space. It's a physical space. It's a shopping district. So we have the Vintage and Luxe Boss Babes shopping district that you can host live sales from and you can list items for sale. If you guys haven't joined District, formerly ISO, and I'm not going to say ISO anymore in this presentation, just so we can stick with District, I encourage you to go visit district.net/vintage boss babes. The other reason for the name change, just in case anyone cares, is that it's a lot easier to remember. ISO was a little confusing. We all know ISO, I think, it stands for in search of, but that's for people that are really familiar with like the vintage world. And District wanted to branch out and bring more. Oh, did I just go all the way back? Oopsie. District wanted to branch out and bring more people into the fold of what they were creating. Okay, sorry guys. I don't know how I did that. We are going to go forward here. I'm just getting to the juicy part. And we are going to have a Q&A at the end, but if you have questions, I want to just post them before you forget. Feel free to do that. Okay, we are almost there. I told you guys something would happen with technology. Oh my gosh. Okay, I guess I have to go like this. Oh, I've just figured it out. Okay, here we go. I'm here. That's what was happening. I was clicking. Okay, I'm going to go back. You guys are going to see that. Okay, cool. So District is pretty new. For those of you that are familiar with Whatnot, and I may have said this at some point, just to some of you one-on-one, but the same investors into Whatnot have invested in District. The difference between District and other live selling platforms is that with District, you don't have to create your own following that's personal to you. You can sell to the following of the platform on District. So in this case, it's my platform, Vintage and Luxe Boss Babes. And so the more people who join the Vintage Luxe Boss Babes District, when you go live using this technology, and I'm going to show you guys a few things behind the scenes so it makes sense, you're going to reach that audience as opposed to having to create your own. The other thing about District that is really, really, really amazing, it's not just a desktop app. You guys can see we've got tons of comments. You can see some buy it nows, auctions, what's sold, but it's also an app, and it is available to stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So when you go live on District, oh, sorry guys, it looks like that did not load there. When you go live on District, you can also go live on your Facebook page, on my Facebook page, on another Facebook page that you might have access to, on your YouTube account, as well as the District platform itself. Okay, so I want to take you guys behind the scenes of District.net, because those of you that might not be familiar with it, I want to show you guys a few things. Okay, I'm not going to show you guys this yet. Hold on. Okay, so the way that District is set up and why I love it is because unlike a Facebook group, which the Facebook groups are great, and I showed you guys a few examples because I believe in them so much, and there's some really great Facebook groups. But what's so amazing about District is that for the first time in our community, and I'm going to actually just go over here to our community, you are actually able to, and sorry guys, I knew this was going to be a little slow. You are able to sort through the listings by seller, as well as the category of item. And these categories are just the beginning. I have actually put in a request to put sizes so that you can just go to, size 10 and up, size 12 and up, size large, size extra large. In a Facebook group, you can't do that. It's just whatever lands on the feed, which is really unfortunate, but Facebook hasn't been able to figure it out. You can also organize by seller. So let's say you really, really, really like Shirley as a seller. You can go and you can see what items she has for sale. And you click and she has her information. Actually, wow, I didn't know that. It says how many items she sold. So she has sold 11 items so far on District. But in addition to buy it now, you can make an offer. And this is something that's also not available on Facebook that I absolutely love with District. It really gives a lot of power to the shopper, as well as helps the seller to understand what the buyer is willing to pay. You can also click free shipping, which I guess that was probably just for Shirley. Yeah, here we go. So here's all the items with free shipping. You can also do multi-day auctions, which we don't have any happening on the site right now, but just like an eBay auction, you can have a multi-day auction actually happening on the site. So I wanted to show you guys just a little bit of behind the scenes here so that you could see, oh, wow, this is like the Facebook group that I'm a member of. That's a social selling space, but everything is just so much more organized and professional. The best part is that we can still chat amongst us. So this is our sellers chat, and then we have a general chat, and we're adding other chats. So we're adding a chat that's going to be all about outfit of the day, ISO. We will use that again, what people are in search of, so that we can continue to cultivate community here. But what's so great about ISO, and I'm going to talk about this later on in the presentation, is that you can share your ISO links with anyone. One of the problems that I run into as admin of a Facebook social selling space is that not everyone is on Facebook. Believe it or not everyone is on Facebook. So when you're listing on District, you can share these links into the Facebook community, but you can also text them to friends, you can email them, you can do a lot of different things. In addition to have a one-stop place for your items. So just back to the listings, if you are a seller, and I know Angela, she's actually on the live tonight, she has her own link that's right here, and she can share that with anyone, and they can come here and they can shop her goodies. And I'm actually seeing some, oh, I wish those were my size, Angela. I'm seeing some great things here. There's so much more to share. I want to do a whole presentation on District with you guys, but that would take all night. What I will say is that as a buyer, you have buyer-seller protection. So as a buyer, you have protection. As a seller, you have protection. You are able to keep track of, when things have arrived to your customers. So instead of having to go and manually look up a tracking number, you're able to see, okay, I shipped out these items, and I'm going to show you guys in a second, and they're starting to deliver. So delivered. This one was shipped because she's in Canada. That one was shipped, hasn't delivered yet. And if one of your customers says, oh, I didn't get it, you can come back here and take a look. You can keep track of your sales. You can keep track of your listings, your offers. There's just so much here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our presentation. But I'm giving you this behind the scenes because my special offer at the end of this presentation has to do, well, partly has to do with District. And I wanted to set the stage for you guys before we got too deep into the presentation. So some of you might be familiar with Poshmark Lives or Whatnot Lives or Jambo Lives or, just lives other places. I love it. I mean, look, there's enough for everyone. So I don't want to be like negative Nancy over here. But what I will say, and I meant to show this to you guys, is that if you go on to Poshmark, there are so many live sales happening at once. Sorry, I had to be very dramatic with that. There's a lot of competition. Now, there's going to be some people that have 38, some people that have 2, some people that have 9, 17, 20, 32, 53, that's good, 6. So it's going to vary. I do believe that you can build up a following and you can work really hard. But with so much competition, it just makes it a little bit more difficult than entering a small niche space, keyword niche, full of customers who want what you have because you're selling vintage clothing. Poshmark, Whatnot, Jamble, it's all a mix of stuff. What I love about social selling spaces that are on Facebook, on Instagram, and then as I just showed you on District is that they're very niche. So here's our final secret. And this one is so important for the social seller. And I will share with you that this secret is how I've actually just been able to survive because I've been able to form relationships with people. They know, like, trust, and buy from me, and they come back again and again and again. And sometimes I even reach out to them because they've become a customer of mine, and I say, hey, I have something you might like. Would you like to take a look at it? And sometimes they buy. So by discovering what your market wants to buy, by having direct access to communicating with them around your products for sale, you can sell more vintage on eBay, on Etsy, on Depop, on Poshmark. Yes, we can notice trends. Absolutely, we can notice trends, but we really can't speak directly to the buyers. Poshmark, Poshmark, you can only comment on an item for sale and you can only message after the sale has been made. So there's really no social aspect to Poshmark except for the live sales, which I guess is kind of social because people get to know you and come back. But you don't, as a seller, you don't have access to messaging them. You would have to like get their emails from the live sale, write it down, email them, get their social media information. I mean, it's just like a big to do. So the key to this secret is finding platforms where you can actually form long-lasting relationships and have access to communicating with your customers. So I took some screenshots of recent chats, and this just shows you the evidence, okay? So one of my customers messaged me about a dress, and she wanted to make an offer. And so she was having a conversation. She was reaching out to me. And I was like, well, how's 50? I made another $50, not even thinking about it, because I have built no like trust relationships with my customers. Here's another customer. I had some designer belts that I thought she would like. I reached out to her. She said, awesome, thanks so much. I'll think about it. She messaged me back and said that she wants the belts now. And now I had them on eBay higher, which you guys can see there. But hey, back to eBay. I mean, I might have been sitting on those belts for months and not able to get any sort of value for them. So I was able to make $100 in a split second. Here's another example of selling multiple goods to single customers who keep coming back and back and back. This is one customer from my last live sale. We kept her cart open. She bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 items from me. Like I really could just sit here and cry because I sometimes don't think I'm worthy and I might actually get emotional, but I know it's because social selling is about the relationships. And the relationships is what drives customer behavior. People want to buy from people that they know, like, and trust. I mean, we will, but it's so much more fun to buy from people we know than just a seller that we don't know. So here's two things that happened on Facebook and District today. I just want to show you guys. We had a seller post this amazing dress. It sold almost instantly. Sold to me. I love that. And then one of our sellers on District made their first ever ISO sale. She didn't have to do anything. She just shared the link in the Facebook group and it sold. And she got the shipping label and was able to print it and ship it out. So these next few slides, they're just showing examples of vintage that has sold in a social selling space. And back to just all those slides before, there's a ton of social selling space. These slides are from a Facebook group. So you can experience the same sales in whatever Facebook groups you decide to post in. I'm going to talk to you guys about the one that I run, but there's so many. You can spend all day, every day, just listing in Facebook groups and selling. And the beautiful thing about the Facebook groups is that most of the time, there's no commission fees. So I'm just going through some of these slides, and this is really just to inspire you because you can begin to see, oh, wow, yeah, I have stuff like that. And the truth is that on the eBays and the Poshmarks and the Depops, you need to be listing things that like people are searching for, which is typically designer names or trending styles. Those of us that like vintage, we just like to sell vintage. We're like, let me just sell vintage. Let me not be a freaking detective and researcher about it. I just want to sell vintage. So if you are tuning in, whether you're tuning in live or you're watching the replay, I'm just going to check my time here. It's 9:17. Perfect. If you're tuning in and you're just like, oh my God, Sammy, I have never sold before, I don't know, you can start from what feels like nothing and build a vintage selling empire. I want to share a success story with you. In my trainings before I would tell the success stories of others. I want you guys to see my success story. So I'm going to go under the hood of my car. So I already shared this with you guys, but in the district, Vintage and Luxe Boss Babes community, this is not including Facebook. If we include Facebook, this is probably double, I would guess, since March. But on district, between myself and other sellers, we've sold $16,456.48. And this is hosting a few live sales a month. To be quite honest with you, this is only the beginning. I see us selling $200,000 a year on district as a community. It just blows my mind that now we can finally keep track of that. And here's where I'm going to go under the hood of my car. And I'm doing this to be fully transparent for a few reasons. There's a lot out there in the internet. People are selling things all the time. People are selling things just because they want you to buy it, because they think, well, if you buy it and you don't use it, then like whatever. I really want you guys to know that this works, and that if you work it, it works for you. So resale is currently, according to my QuickBooks, 54% of my income. I have no words for the gratitude that since January 1st, I've been able to sell $30,000 of vintage. $30,000 of vintage. Which means I'll probably sell another 30,000 before the end of the year. And this is using social selling. I occasionally sell on Poshmark and eBay. So yes, maybe like 1,000 of this is from those platforms. But the majority of this, like 28, 29,000, is from social selling sites, which, for those of you that know me, is my Facebook community and district. You can have these stats too. You can have a third, you can have 3,000 for the year. I don't know what that number is. I'm sharing this because I've been able to build a life of freedom thanks to resale. It's not always easy. I will say that sometimes schlepping things to the post office can get old, but it's the life that I'm in charge of. And the only reason that I'm able to have this life of freedom that I wanted so desperately when I was 23 years old in 2009 is because of social selling. I couldn't figure it out back then because it was really hard and I wasn't making enough money to make it work full time. Now I'm pretty much making it work half of, well, I have other sales, but for many people, this is close to a full-time at home or full-time part-time income. Okay, so wow, it is 9:20. I knew I was going to go a little over time. I'm probably going to end this at 9:40, guys. We never have enough time to cover everything I wanted, or this webinar would be hours long. And if you guys have met with me in person, I'm a chatty Cathy. But can I ask you guys a question? Can I share with you how to get started with social selling on some of the platforms I shared with you today? Okay, some of you are already on these platforms, and I see I have a couple of questions here. Very clearly be bad with them. Oh, thank you guys for all of these comments. Okay, but let me know in the chat with an okay if I can share with you how to get started with social selling on some of the platforms I share with you today. Just let me know with a quick okay. And Diane, yes, everything you saw was live. Yay, Angela. Yes, and Diane, if you need a link, I can always help you. Because yeah, sometimes you have to learn with the technology. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Angela. Okay, awesome. Yes, I love okays. Okay, great. All right. I am going to be a fast talking Yankee. Diane, great question. I will go over that a little bit more at the end. 100%. You don't have to go live. You can go live when you're ready, but you can sell on the district marketplace. I'm going to share that with you like literally in 5 minutes. So hold on tight, okay? All right. So I want to introduce you like formally to what I've built and share a very special offer with you. And this offer is going to help you to sell more vintage. Here are some headshots of some of the sellers that have been involved in the Vintage and Luxe Boss Babes community since 2020. So we've been helping women predominantly, but all human beings to sell more vintage since 2020. And I am continuing to stay committed to that mission. And I'm so excited to make this special offer to you guys so that you can participate in a way that works for you. So I want you guys, if you have the opportunity to go to joinvintagebossbabes.com and just bring that up. I'm going to talk to you about it momentarily. But if you are on this live and you're not a member of our Facebook community, I encourage you to go head over to facebook.com/groups/vintage boss babes. If you search Vintage Boss Babes on Facebook, it'll come right up. And to go join District, all you have to do is go to district.net/vintage boss babes, and you're going to be able to click join. This doesn't show that join button, but it will say join and you can easily join. So if you join both of these marketplaces, and this is where this training is brand new, because back in February when I did this training, I wasn't working with District yet. You can sell with District for absolutely no upfront fees for the first 30 days. And post links of items for sale from District directly into the Vintage and Luxe Boss Babes Facebook group. Absolutely free. So I want to just clarify, all right? So posting to District and hosting live sales on District, there is a small commission fee. It's very, very, very small. It's a total of 10%. That's the most it will ever be. But because I want people to get started with social selling, for your first 30 days, if you apply to sell with District, you will pay no fees. So you guys can see this screenshot here. That will be your fee, 0% for the first 30 days. And that's going to count for your daily posting and any live sale that you post in that 30-day window, okay? If you just want to post onto District, you can take any of those links and post it into the Facebook group as much as you want. That's always free. So if you, Diane, go and go to district.net/vintage boss babes, you apply to be a seller, you can list items on District and then just link them in the group and be like, hey, here's my item, here's the information, here's a photo, but here's the link to check out on District. That's free. There's no upfront fees, but after 30 days, there will be that 10% commission on any sales. Okay, so I actually make a note of that here. The only thing that we can't avoid are the processing fees because unfortunately, paying with a credit card and PayPal, that's just how it goes, but they are minuscule compared to the fees that you might pay on eBay or Poshmark, which takes a minimum of 20%. All right, so I don't have the link up right now, but basically, guys, once you join District and then you apply to sell, and there's an apply to sell button there on the homepage, you're not going to have to pay any commission fees for your first 30 days of selling. But just a note, this is only available for US sellers at the moment. And I don't say that until this part because I'm assuming everyone here is American. If you're Canadian, you can buy from the platform. Coming soon, you'll be able to sell from Canada. And I'm so excited for that because that's going to be another sort of just amazing iteration of this platform. But I'm so sorry to my Canadians. You can only buy from District. You can't sell. Okay. Now, if you want to sell on Facebook directly without using District by hosting a live sale, right? So hosting a live sale on District, this is something once you sign up as a seller, I'll teach you, I'll train you. Please don't get kind of like, oh my God, I don't think I can do it. Like there are steps that I will help you take. But if you just want to sell on Facebook and use something called Loyal Shops, which is our old school technology, you're going to be able to pay $25 for 2 hours for your first live sale between now and September 30th. So on September 1st, live sales are $50. But this special offer is that you'll only pay $25 for 2 hours of live selling. And that's something else that I will help walk you through. Okay. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm going back in time. So, oh no, this didn't load. This is horrible. All right. That's okay. Okay. So in order to get what I just shared with you guys, you not only have to, join District, right? But you do have to head over to joinvintagebossbabes.com and you're going to pay $1. And here's why, because $1 makes people committed. It's only $1. You're not charged anything else. There's no recurring fees. You won't be charged $1 next month or more money next month. But by going to joinvintagebossbabes.com, paying that $1, that's going to tell me that you are interested in selling on our platforms in some shape or form, whether it's posting on District, hosting a live sale on District, hosting a live sale on Facebook, and I'm going to be able to send you more information. So the first thing you'll get by paying that $1 is you're going to get the Be on the Lookout Valuable Vintage Clothing Guide for free. This is something that I have sold in the past for up to $47. It is absolutely free. It lists 50 plus brands and vintage styles that you should keep your eyes peeled for when shopping secondhand. Now, for some reason that didn't load. I'm going to show you guys what this freebie looks like. It is a fantastic 275 page guide to brands and styles that you should be on the lookout for. And I just gave you guys an awesome sneak peek. That is my thank you for letting me know. Okay, cool. It loaded there. All right. I must be having some internet problems. Anyway, that lets me know by joining Vintage Boss Babes that you are interested in being a live seller. And I want to give you this guide for absolutely free to help you to learn more about vintage selling. Plus, on the joinvintagebossbabes.com site, if you want to learn more about becoming a live seller, because let's say you're on this training, either you're live, you're watching the replay, and you're like, oh my God, this just like, I want to do it, but like, I don't know the first thing about live selling. Trust me, I've been there. I had to learn along the way too. And after having guided hundreds of people at this point to become live sellers, I've learned what it takes. And for the first time ever, I'm offering for the next 72 hours our live selling success course for just $42. When you head to joinvintagebossbabes.com, you can add that to your order if you choose. You don't have to, but I highly suggest it. So instead of spending $1 to get started, you're spending $43. Okay. It's a 10 module video intensive. Don't mind that word intense. It just means that it's really good. It's easy to follow along and learn more. Myself and a top performing seller in our community created this course together. All right. So here's a quick recap of how you can get started and what this special offer is about. Basically, you do have to join vintagebossbabes.com to get all of this. But I also want to remind you that you do eventually, you don't have to do it tonight, but if you head on over to joinvintagebossbabes.com, pay $1, I will, reach out to you, see if you want to join District, see if you want to apply to be a seller, see if you want to be hosting live sales in our Facebook community. If you go to joinvintagebossbabes.com, pay that $1, you're going to get the Be on the Lookout Valuable Vintage Clothing Guide that will be emailed to you once you pay that $1. You can add on the live sales success video course for just $42. That's 75% off the original price. Okay, you don't have to, but I highly suggest it. Once you purchase, check your email for the Be on the Lookout guide, and you're also going to get a link to sign up for a District live sale and a Loyal Shops Vintage and Luxe Boss Babes live sale. Now that's just selling in Facebook itself. That's a pay to play model, but you only have to pay $25 for 2 hours. now through September 30th. By signing up to become a seller on District, you can sell without any commission fees for the first 30 days. That is part of this special offer. You can post your District links into the Facebook group. You don't have to pay to do that. After 30 days, if you sell something, there's a small commission fee. For the first 30 days, all that money goes back into your pocket. So basically, by joining vintagebossbabes.com, signing up there, I will reach out to you. I will know that you signed up. I'll have your email. I'll have your contact information. But I wanted to give you guys a step-by-step play of what you can do next. And I've designed this to fully optimize your live selling success. So let's recap really quickly. What are you going to get when you join our Facebook community and our District community? You're going to get in front of 5,000 people daily, selling your items, selling your vintage. You can host a live sale and reach people like you're at a virtual convention. You can sell live and from the replay. You build customer relationships for life. You can post as many items for sale as you want. No listing fees and no space issues. And this is referring to District. District has no listing fees whatsoever. So it's not like 30 cents a listing like Etsy. You just list. I want you guys to imagine experiencing regular sales from customers who know and love you, saying next in line, saying sold, being excited about what they're buying from you. And I'm going to remind you that as soon as you sign up to sell with District, you can begin posting vintage items for sale. I'm so sorry. I should have put using the link in the community, which is the Facebook community, as much as you want. You can do this daily, you can do this hourly, and you're going to learn from your activity and connections, and you can start selling immediately. Just a quick recap. No listing fees, no 30 cents fees like Etsy, no super high commissions like Poshmark and eBay, no gimmicks. That's why I wanted to, show you guys my results so you can see like this is for real. Only results, only fun, only social selling results. Let's go. Okay. Again, if you just want to sell on Facebook only, you don't want to do a live sale on District, just by registering at joinvintagebossbabes.com, you can book a live sale for just $25 for 2 hours, any date now through September 30th. Okay. For everyone else, starting September 1st, it's $50. The link to register will be in your membership confirmation email. Okay. Here are some screenshots of how well some of our live sellers have done from their live sales. 1,200, 1,500, 750, 800, 1,150. Like, holy crap. Here is District, and here are the number of sales that some of these sellers have had literally by hosting 1 or 2 live sales. Mind you, none of these sellers have sold more than like 2 live sales. Actually, I think Maddie's done 3, but she does Luxe. So selling 31 Luxe is like huge. All right. We are growing so much at District. District is only going to explode, and we are at the forefront of it all. Okay, so let's recap. If you join District as a seller, you got to head to joinvintagebossbabes.com though to get the complete offer. You have to pay that just $1. It's just $1 to show your commitment. But you're going to have no commission fees for 30 days by listing items for sale on District. You have the opportunity to host live sales. And if you want to just host on Facebook, it's only $25 versus $50 to use our Loyal Shops technology. Now you're going to understand what the market wants to buy, so you can go and source it and quickly make a sale by becoming involved in our social selling spaces and becoming active there. You're going to connect with hungry vintage loving customers and make contact with these customers for future sales. All right. Wouldn't it be worth it? This is actually one of our top sales ever. She made $4,000 plus in 90 minutes. I'm still like, I just can't. It's unbelievable results. Now, I just want to position, by going to joinvintagebossbabes.com, you're paying $1. What if all you did was invest $1 and you got 100 times your money back in 30 days? That means you made $100, $101. Wouldn't it be worth it just to give this a shot? I don't want to see anyone just not try, because you never know. Okay, so if you sign up in the next 72 hours, I'm going to be reminding you guys with email, with email reminders, all the things. But here's everything that you can get in the next 72 hours by signing up for joinvintagebossbabes.com. You don't have to book the live sale right away within 72 hours, but all of this is only available if you go to joinvintagebossbabes.com and register there, and it's going to shut down by 9 p.m. on Friday, the 18th. Okay, guys. So when we go to joinvintagebossbabes.com, this is what your checkout will look like. You can pay card, PayPal, Google Pay. The email that you give, that's the email where all of the information is going to arrive. And if you want to add the live sale course, if you scroll down, you'll be able to add this to your order, and then your $1 will increase to $43. If you add the live sales success course, you'll get login information the next 24 hours. That's because I have to actually make your login information and send it to you, but you will get the Be on the Lookout guide delivered to you automatically. So let's go over a few sort of objections, and it's 9:38, so I'm about to finish, guys. A lot of times people have public speaking fears. They're like, hey, Sammy, I don't know, I'm afraid. I never know what to say and I trip on my words. Well, I will tell you guys straight out the gate that I was so afraid to speak in high school. I've worked through that. I still trip over my words. I still get nervous. I still don't know what the heck I'm saying when I'm describing an item, but I push through and I make money. And here's a great example of a seller. I think it was like 2 years ago. And she was like, I'm getting nervous, blah, blah, blah. And then she messaged me and she's like, oh my gosh, people are like DMing me about my dresses. Because this was her like sneak peek for the live sale. So if she had just not gone live because she was nervous, she never would have had these results. So sometimes those nerves are worth it, is my point. Okay, so the idea of using social media for selling overwhelms me. Besides that, I hate Facebook. I know. But hey, flashbacks to setting up in person. Do you really want to talk to people for hours in person, trying to make small talk, trying to get them to look at your stuff? Because that's what running a store or a pop-up or a flea market is like. So basically it's kind of like, which of the two would you rather have? I would rather have social selling, or at least I'm behind a laptop. Okay, but how do I know what to source and how to price? That's the beautiful thing about social selling, is that it's going to give you information a lot faster than other platforms, because you're going to be able to get immediate feedback from your customers versus hearing nothing comments wise. You're going to be able to see what people are selling other things for and just get a handle of what that community is willing to spend and what they are looking for. As a quick example, if you sell something laser fast, price it a little higher next time and keep sourcing that style of item. Tip number 3, ask the social space what they're looking for, get a few replies, take note of what they say, and go source it if you can. In a social selling space, you can always connect with your clientele and be like, hey, what are you guys looking for? Tell me, what are you ISO? And then of course you can see what other sellers are selling and how they're pricing, which I love. I love that I can be like, oh, she sold that for this, she sold this for that, or they're selling it this way. It's not copying. It's just like, oh, well, this is what's working. And we're all here to help each other to grow and to sell more vintage. And so when one person succeeds, another person succeeds. So I ask you guys, as I finish this amazing webinar, and thank you guys so much for being on live with me, what else do you need? I hope I was convincing. I hope that I showed you guys what's possible if you just began to create consistency with selling in a social space. What if you got results like some of the results that I showed? What if you just sold another $200 to $300 per month and it was easy because you were using a social space? I encourage you guys to head over to Join Vintage Boss Babes gmail.com. Check it out. Sign up for that $1 special offer. I will be in touch with you. If we have any more questions, I see we have 6 chats, so I'm going to check that out. But if you don't want to ask me a question, you're welcome to email me, vintagebossbabes@gmail.com. I'm always available. I will end on this. I really believe that everyone who sells vintage can sell more of it. And I hope that you see the possibility of that in the Vintage and Luxe Boss Babes Facebook and district communities. Oh, wow, Angela, I just got 2 offers on district as we speak from a returning client. That's exactly it. Thank you so much, Angela. That's exactly it, where it's like, you're not even trying that hard. I mean, yes, you're trying, and yes, we do need to promote our listings, but as district grows, as Facebook grows, it becomes so much easier. Let's see. Please send the recording ASAP. I want to share this with 2 new sellers. Absolutely, Regina. And Regina, I think we're friends on Facebook. You are welcome to message me there. The guide is amazing, guys. Oh, yes. You have to be on the lookout. So we want to do a jewelry one. I'm just going to confide in you guys. I've been so busy reselling that I haven't had time. But we want to do a jewelry be on the lookout guide. Jewelry is a big seller because it's size free. So helping people to understand the value is what that guide would be. Okay, so Diane, I think I did answer your questions, but yeah, basically guys, if you don't want to host a live sale because of those objections, like I get it, but you're going to sell a lot if you go live. I'm working right now with a client. She just sends me inventory and I go through it, I list it, I sell it, and I'm generating like $4,000 in sales minimum a month just by going live once per week. It's incredible. Okay. Hello, I'm new to this platform. So you only allowed to sell vintage on district and Vintage Boss Babes? Great question. Okay, so I made this training about vintage just because selling vintage it's hard. But we call it Vintage and Luxe Boss Babes because let's say you have a luxe item, and by luxe I mean like a higher quality item, not Shein, not H&M, not Zara, not Cider, but something that's higher quality. Yes, you can sell it. I always like to remind our sellers that like 30% luxe and like 70% vintage will most likely get you the best results. But if you have designer, like good designer, this is the community to also sell that. Vintage is technically something that's 20 years or older. It's becoming harder and harder to kind of draw the line sometimes. Of course, this is vintage, this is 70s, but like who's to say that a 2010 item isn't vintage? Like it's, becoming harder and harder. And I will share that I have sold a ton of luxe. Some luxe is so niche that it's hard to sell on the platforms. And so you'll do better selling it on a live sale. And I have noticed that where I'm like, I don't like this brand. It's so random, or like Theory, for example, like Theory, it's a great brand, but it's not really being sought after on the platforms. It's going to be better to sell Theory on the live. And of course we all have our own preferences, and some of us are very established on the platforms because you put in the work. So you might not want to sell certain things on a live. But getting things in front of people and showing it, like they're just so much more likely to be like, I think I do like that, versus like seeing like static photos. Okay, are there any other questions? And this has been so great, guys. I'm gonna upload this recording to YouTube. I'm gonna send it to everyone. I think at some point we had like 15 live viewers, which makes me so happy. My gosh, and I'm just gonna share, so I'm here in Baltimore, and I was gonna have a live sale on Sunday night, but I'm staying in Baltimore, so I'm scheduling one for Wednesday, the 23rd. Then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna schedule my next one for the next week, and then I'm gonna do one from my friend's showroom in September. And there's so many ways to host a live sale. Angela, if she's still on, she's got a great client We talked about her just going to her client's house and selling from her client's house. Imagine if Angela had to get all that inventory, put it in her brick and mortar, input it into her system, tag it, steam it, because she put it in the back of her car and it got wrinkly. Like, it's just so much more time. Live sales truly do cut back on time. They truly do. Yeah. So I hope that's encouraging. I think that's everything, guys. I don't see any other chat comments or questions. I'm going to stop the recording. For those of you